Hey guys, Roth from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, with what is in fact episode 17 of my continuing a closer look into the X-Files season 2, episode 17. Well over the threshold of being halfway into this season 2. Before you know it, we'll be into season 3, and on we go. Endgame, the second piece to Colony, second time that we have had an episode in Colony that ends with to be continued. And this continues right from pretty much where we left off. Drops February 17th, 1995. Rob Bowman, again at the helm. And first-time writer Frank Spotnitz, who will go on to become a long-term executive producer for the X-Files show. This episode has, and by the way, if you're wondering, yes, I feel a lot better than last time. I mean, I'm glad I did it, but man, I am, wow, way better. A little bit of the stuff, but a bit fine. Endgame, followed by what will be actually Fearful Symmetry and Dog Calm, which both consider this extraterrestrial theme a little bit. So I was kind of hoping just kind of get back into the Monster of the Week thing. But hey, here we are. So Endgame. Okay, so when we left off Colony, great seasons, or not season, but I mean a great finale at the end, or cliffhanger. So she, Mulder comes in, you know, to Scully's, where she is, her apartment, maybe it's her apartment, comes in, wherever she's at, comes in, and just, you know, same time, phone rings, and it's Mulder. Wait a minute, there can only be one Mulder. Well, the one who is standing right next to her, of course, is an alien bounty hunter. And so she sort of fakes a fake number, or a wrong number, and turns her attention to Mulder as if, until she's able to get her gun. But this is the alien bounty hunter, right? So before we know it, he has her up against the wall, and is trying to extract information as to where. So alien bounty hunter has Scully. By the time Mulder shows up with Samantha, they realize they're going to have to do a deal, which ends up being on a bridge, which is quite the scene. You know, you almost expect this is the type of setup for a sort of a cliffhanger or a season finale or something. But this is right almost tag in the middle of the episode. But it's a nice little setup. You've got Mulder is able to get out there just ahead at the meeting. And what they're going to do is exchange, right, Samantha for what we'll come to know as a clone for Scully. You've got FBI on both sides, and they've got it covered, right? Now, their hope is they can just get a shot at the base of the neck. They'll put the alien bounty hunter down. And rather, what really ends up happening, unfortunately, is once they do the exchange and Samantha is being held by the alien bounty hunter, she is able to sort of weld around with the instrument of death, and but unfortunately, at the same time, a shot rings out. They try to take their shot, and both end up off the bridge. That puts Mulder in an absolutely, he's got Scully back, but he puts him in a really terrible position in terms of, and it's a kind of an awkward scene. He'll have to go tell his dad that Samantha's been lost again. Now, he doesn't understand fully what I've already sort of let out a little bit. That's coming soon enough. But for the moment, we're sort of introduced to an interesting sort of dynamics that exist in his family. And the relationship he has with his dad is really a lack of a relationship, it seems. And yet it is his dad, it is Samantha. And so Mulder does his best to apologize. Dad is not so forgiving, and really sort of hangs his mom over him in terms of how she's going to react to losing Samantha again. which is really not fair, because I think later on we'll learn that his dad is I'm pretty sure we'll learn his dad is somewhat well versed in the goings on in terms of the conspiratorial nature of much of what we deal with, right, within the world of the X-Files. And so he really does not treat Mulder well. And it really makes for kind of an awkward scene. One in which you almost expect Mulder to begin sobbing, which he just sort of holds back. And that sort of adds a little bit to the layering here, I guess. And it does offer more questions than not. So anyway, Dad, though, does push off an envelope on him that apparently Samantha has left in case they were to be separated, which tells you it's weird to think that seemingly Dad is in the complete I know nothing, and yet he probably knows more than Mulder does at this point. So it does add some really weird, but this is still early. It's middle-ish of season 2, and we've still got a few more seasons to work out some of this stuff. And so this puts he follows up, which is a lead left to him by Samantha apparently, to go to an abortion clinic where she apparently not only will he find out she is there, not really her, but multiple clones. It doesn't take long before he realizes he's been duped. This really isn't Samantha at all, period. And in fact, and it's interesting, because I think I remember last week saying something to the effect of, what is Mulder without Samantha in terms of looking for her? This is his primary motivation, and it really does drive him through most of what we know to be the X-Files, although Scully will become more and more intricate to that. You wonder if he does find Samantha, he's probably done with everything, because I'm sure he's had enough of everything. So he's sort of left with a quandary, but alien bounty hunter shows up, so doesn't have much choice but to go deal with this threat, which he doesn't get the better of. And alien bounty hunter is able to, I don't think you see it, but the implication is he gets them, the rest of the clones. Now, he's disappeared. Since then, Samantha has been pulled up from the water underneath around the bridgeway, right? But alien bounty hunter has not been found. No, he's already headed back to the sub, apparently, where we have the abandoned sub that I can't. Some of the intros in the first one, but we're there again. At the beginning of this episode is the USS Allegiance. They get this a craft on radar. Pacific Command tells them to go ahead and take it out, but before they can, they are what's the word I'm looking for here? Disabled. Here we go. They are disabled. So this really takes us towards the end, right? Of some good moments, man. Some first time moments. Some really good moments. So Mulder has a meeting with X and does get some information in terms of the USS Allegiance, where it is. And so he heads on, but he sends Scully an email, basically says, don't follow after. Scully's not going to have any of that. We know that, right? So she goes in, she goes to Skinner. It's one of the first of those meetings, right, where she pleads for help, and Skinner's sort of like, at least initially, there's a bigger picture here, Scully. You just really need to, no. Well, Skinner, we've already learned where his real true allegiance lies. It is to the nature of the X-Files, I think, and to Mulder and Scully. And so after Scully sort of leaves, slams the door behind her, Skinner suddenly decides to, what is it? Okay, so Scully goes back to Mulder's. She gets the she sees the email, I think, for the first time, and the X is still up on the window, and so she turns the light on. She notices there's a trick. In the middle of the night, X shows up, Stephen Williamson, right? X shows up, sees it's not Mulder, but her, tries to remove himself from the building. She won't let him go as easily, but ultimately he goes into an elevator, and he's just basically, I can't help you. Here comes one of the great scenes, man. So elevator, his door starts to open. There's Skinner, man, face to face with X. Did you give her the information she asked for? And of course, you know, the expression on X is beautiful. It's just, it's so telling of just so much stuff, right? And before X could get his gun out, Skinner and him, he has him against the wall in the elevator, and there you go. You got a fight, man, between whoever X ultimately ends up being in terms of his relationship to the Bureau. Skinner and him go head to head, and he ultimately, X does pull the gun on him. And all Skinner says is, if you pull that trigger, you'll be killing two people, meaning you'll probably kill Mulder, you will kill me. And so you kind of get a pause there for a minute, and then suddenly the door opens, Scully's standing there, and there's a bloodied up Skinner who starts to just lay out information. And I almost forgot, what makes this line coming up so great is Scully begs and pleads him in his office to use unofficial channels. And so there is Skinner all beaten up and just sort of, lays things out where Mulder is and where she needs to go. And she says, how'd you get this? And all he says is, unofficial channels. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful. Just a great moment in the X-Files. Just the mythology is just being laid, the arc of it all, and just a great singular moment there for Skinner, who does have some real heroic moments throughout this show. But before Scully can even think about getting out to him, I think it's like the next scene we jump, and she must have got wind that Mulder had been found, brought back, and this is where we come to the beginning of the first colony, right? And she is there with important, I think there are some more scenes in this episode that deal with her finding out, and there's another issue too, but she finds out the nature of the contagion of the poison, the toxicness, and so she has relevant information that can probably save Mulder. But I almost forgot, there is a moment, pretty sure it's Samantha, it's the clone, and it's Mulder, right? And she basically lays out, and this might be the first time in the X-Files that we get some sort of picture as to what might be going on. And if I remember right, it has something to do with, so alien life has begun the process of colonization since the 1940s. Now, the X-Files will expand upon this at great length and add layer upon layer and layer, but at least initially, it seems that what we got here is an initial colonization effort that leads to this whole issue of cloning, and apparently the beginnings of the aliens' blood being watered down, which is the catalyst for the alien bounty hunter to come and basically wipe them out, because you can't have a contaminated, watered down blood of the alien race. So, and there almost seems to be I think Samantha says something to the effect of, in order to regain, I think she says that, to regain stewardship over the planet, it's a long drawn out process that will take, centuries. I can't remember if she said all of this, seems like it. So you kind of get this picture that their attempt at doing this, and this might have been, a group that really did not have complete and absolute authorization from, the higher ups in this alien civilization, if this is what we're to believe, right? This is the X-Files, right? But this is the first beginning into him. Now we know there's going to be a lot of giving and a lot of taking back and a lot of giving back and a lot of taking, and you're never really going to know for sure what is up with the entirety, and a lot of it will be, sort of tied up in the very final episode known as The Truth. But these answers might have been given much more better had the series found its home theatrically and not to the TV screen. I wonder if the stage would have been much more grand. There might have been an alien invasion. There might have been, a whole lot of things, could have ultimately happened. But since it was sort of relegated to, the TV screen, there's only so much that you can do. The X-Files Fight the Future showed just how grand that scale could be, or the stage could be. I Want to Believe, of course, sort of brings it back down to sort of a Monster of the Week episode. It isn't so grand, right? And so here we are, man. Here we are. Endgame finds its end. Mulder's there in the hospital bed. Get used to this. It's either her or him. And in terms of Samantha, she said, "Did you find what you were looking for?" And he says, "No." He says, "But I found something that I thought I had lost, and that is the faith to keep on looking." And so all of this is for nothing. Just looking at my notes here, I think I pretty much hit on just about everything. The one thing that is left out there is the alien bounty hunter at one point will mention to Mulder in a great scene where Mulder and him have a head-to-head in the sub. When Mulder's at the sub, we'll be there for a little bit with him, in which case he's left for dead. The alien bounty hunter will make the point to say that Samantha is still alive. And I'm trying to think in terms of the truth and the complete arc of the X-Files. I don't know if that question ever is completely and absolutely settled. But anyways, this is the joy of rediscovering the X-Files and working all the way through methodically, just every episode along the entirety of the pathway that is. One last thing. The scene at the end, which is fantastic with the sub that comes up through the ice. 140 tons of snow and ice. This is put on a stage. They created this on a stage. 140 tons of snow and ice brought in. An absolutely amazing job on that. Looks fantastic. And so that is a great moment. So anyways, we'll leave it at there. Endgame, Colony, on to fearfulsymmetry.com, and then on our way to the final few episodes of season 2, and looking forward to that season finale. I can't even think of what it is off the top of my head. So anyways, as always, man, leave these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream. We might be useful to you.